So, good morning, everybody. We're reading through Exodus 36, 37, 38. Double check that. Okay, so um, our Father is very generous. He has lavished out so many blessings on us. Just the blessing of salvation alone, the blessing of His oneness with Him, just a blessing of peace and joy. But it's not just that. It's give us today our daily bread. It's a rescue, rescue us. He's constantly pulling us out of danger. He's constantly just protecting us. He is our provider. He's our daddy. He provides for us. He takes care of us. He protects us. It's just his generosity of love is just like wow, just amazing stuff. And those who belong to him are also marked by generosity. They may not realize it yet, but it's not something that we work towards. We don't try to work towards being more generous, and I'm seeing more and more of this in the church. There's a work that is given to us, but it's not for us to gain anything with. We definitely have a work to do. We were created for work. Yeah, okay, but generosity isn't something that we work at. It's something that we surrender ourselves to. The life with Christ is a surrendering to what has been planted in us during the transformation process, during the transforming from the old creation to the new creation. And we have the character of Christ, even if there's failure to walk in it because we don't know who we are. And that's quite often where the problem lies. We don't know who we are, so we don't walk in it. But it is who we are. Just because there's a failure to walk in it, like every person who belongs to Jesus Christ is marked by generosity, but there's a failure to walk in that generosity. We know people who are overly generous. We know people in the world who are overly generous because that's who they decided to be, and they work towards it. But we, as the children of God, it is who we are, not what we've decided to be. It is who we are, and we just surrender to that. And in the same way that the Father is generous, so are we. So are we. And we see the Israelites in the reading today just responding to all the Father has done, all that He's done for him. They just pour out. And it doesn't say that they all did. Those who were inclined to, and they gave generously from their own pocket, and no reluctance, no hesitation, just bang. There are those who didn't give. There are those who just didn't do it, and there are those who did because they were thankful. We are generous because it's our nature, but there's also a generosity that is provoked, thanksgiving generosity, where we pour out on Father great gifts. It's praise, it's financial, it's possessions, it's time. And there's all kinds of things that we offer up in this generosity of thanksgiving, and we have to maintain that attitude of generosity, because if we don't, bitterness creeps in. We start seeing things that we think that we're lacking, things that we think that because we're allowing our desires to overwhelm us, then we get into a place of judgment and saying God didn't do this, God didn't do that, blah 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 blah, instead of looking at the things that He has done and how great and generous it has been. So as we gather in for worship, whenever your gathering is with your fellow tribe, it's got to be marked by this generosity. It needs to be an overwhelming sense of generosity, and in the relationships around you, it's a generosity that is part of your nature. It's just who you are. And if you recognize in yourself that there is a failure of that, if you notice that there are times when you pull back. You're reluctant because a person didn't do this or didn't do that, and you withhold your generosity, your kindness, or something because of their behavior. Then you know that you're stepping back into old habits. You're stepping back into flesh. You're stepping back into what you were instead of who you are, and that's okay. That's a warning sign for you. These are the things that let us know when we're off the mark, when we're not in line with the Father's heart. And it's a good thing to be aware of, not so that you beat yourself up, just so that you bring correction, that you listen to the Spirit, and you make those differences that you need to make. So be encouraged today, be blessed, and we'll talk to you soon.